It looks like we're live. So,
Mm.
we wander friends. Thank you for already hopping in. Welcome to the inner room with Out of My Damn Mind. This is the space where walls fall away, where stories don't just get told, they land messy, real, and alive. Um, Here, writers open the door to what drives them, what haunts them, and what keeps them going. Every voice has its own rhythm, its own scars, its own sparks, and together we trace the threads that hold us, break us, and connect us all. I am super excited to close out this beautiful, lovely birthday month with the amazing Andy. Thank you for being here, my friend.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, I genuinely love when new voices come into the space. So I'm excited to do this thing. All right, Jamie, thanks for joining. If you're new to the inner room, like Andy is, I come up with 20 curated questions for my co-host, and they can sometimes pick the numbers if they want to. We can make a fun little game. We do a lot of conversations about things that most people don't really like to talk about. So if you're ready, I will start with number one, just because I start this with every new voice. But then if after that you want to pick your own questions, you most certainly can, my friend. All
All
right.
right.
This is your first time in the inner room, so I always start new voices here. Or brought you to Substack.
Chance.
Mm,
I went to my first open mic at a little coffee shop in town, and I met a man named Josh Datko, who's here on Substack as well,
mm.
and he does poetry on tape where he sends out cassettes. And he handed me a cassette, and he was like, "Hey, you should check me out on Substack." So I checked him out, and I was like, I just there's a huge poetry community there, and I just was like, oh my gosh, my people. And I pretty much started up the Substack that day. I had no idea it would kind of become what it did at all. But I just fell in love with using the app and fell in love with reading on the app and meeting people, and just found like this bustling little community that has been just a real joy for the last 8 months or so.
Um, I'm like, that is a fascinating way to get poetry out there, though, to tape it and hand
Yeah.
that out. Like, that's a whole experience in itself. Like I said, I always start with this question just because I find it fascinating how so many humans end up in this space, and a lot of it is just stories like that, like, oh, somebody said this, or I heard it on this, or I was googling at 3 in the morning, like, how do I have a online diary? Like, that's what I was kind of like, I
Yeah.
just wanted to do for myself at that time. So it's always special to kind of hear people's stories here. Inner strategy and little edits. Thanks for joining us. All right, so now we have 2 to 20. If you want to pick your own, you can, or I could just keep going.
Let's go with number 11.
Oh, lucky number 11. That's my nephew's number in all things sports. So um what's something you've done that would surprise the people who only know you through the poetic pause?
A dangerous question.
Well, I mean, but it's open to interpretation
It's
too.
open to interpretation. Something surprising that I've done. I spent, I guess I have told about this a little bit, but I don't know that most people would know. Is that a year ago, I spent 5 days up in the mountains and did a 24-hour fasted vision quest to try to figure out where I was going in my life and how to transition. And during that quest, I read poetry and realized that I'd been neglecting my poetry for a really long time, and that's what got me writing again.
That's actually kind of fascinating. And I'm surprised you haven't written something that would kind of expose that truth. So, but how, okay, 24-hour, you said fast?
Yeah, yeah. So it was alone. I had my one little one person tent with a backpack, and I went out to my solo area. There were other women there, so we had like checkpoints halfway in between our camps, so we couldn't see each other. We were way far away from each other. I think I had to walk about a mile to get to the halfway point between the next person's camp. But like we did a check-in midday, but other than that, we spent 24 hours by ourselves. No food. I had very little water. And doing ceremony and ritual to help us through the transitions that we were going through. And the 4 days leading up to that were working with kind of a group therapy setting. where we worked together to figure out what it is, why we were there, what we were looking for during our quest, and what we were hoping to get out of the quest.
That's fucking fascinating. Would you recommend it?
Hell yeah,
So
to
that means
anybody that can afford it.
you
Yeah.
would do it again?
In a heartbeat. Like if the problem is the cost, but if I could do it again, I'd be out on that land as much as I could be because it's just um, so peaceful.
Like
It's
kind of
so beautiful.
I mean, I've seen like on social media different types of especially women only kind of trips like that, but I don't think I've ever really thought about, oh, this is something I have to do. Like I don't think I've been called to it, but I'm very fascinated by it. So thank you for sharing that with us.
Yeah, you're welcome.
That's a cool fun fact.
And if anybody does want to try something like that, that's the Somatic Nature Institute in Boulder, Colorado, and they do a bunch of them throughout the year. They have both mixed male and female, and they have women only solo vision quests, and they have a bunch of other nature-based therapies and stuff like that that you can take. I actually got my somatic coaching certification through their institute
Mhm.
through a 9-month course with them.
Wow. Well, real quick, just want to say hey, hey, hey to Miss Hughes. Thanks for joining us tonight. Oh man, you're so layered. I can't, like I said, that this is only two questions in, and I already feel like this conversation is going to have many cool turns and stuff. It's also funny that you said Colorado. I was just talking to somebody about. I would love to go there. It's been on my bucket list for a while for a lot of different reasons, but yeah, I'm quite fascinated. All right, so no number one, no number 11. What's your next number?
Let's go back to two.
All right,
I like a good
your
time.
yeah, your work moves between poetry, nonfiction, horror, humor, and somatics. Do all of those feel like different parts of you, or is there one version of Andy underneath all of them?
The secret is it's all somatics. If you read
Mm.
all the poetry, all the fiction, even the horror, it's gross body horror. It's
Oh, we froze.
to feel the good feelings, which, in the good poetry and the positive stuff, right? And then we also experience the bad feelings in a safe container, which that's where the horror comes in and the body grossness comes in, right? Because we're teaching ourselves how to tolerate discomfort. And that comes out and helps us in our day to day lives in so many ways. So, in
Mm.
itself, my writing is the practice.
I love that, and thank you for breaking it all down. I sat with horror hangouts, which I wasn't really sure how that conversation was gonna go, but then after the whole conversation, I was like, I think horror, like the genre of a movie, is just a maybe easier way to kind of talk about fears, right? So I'm very fascinated by the genre, whether it's writing or even just movies now, just because of that conversation. So I find it fascinating that you're able to incorporate it in to all the different styles that you kind of write in. Oh, what a fun way to practice something, you know?
As I feel like me writing what I write is so much of my healing practice too. Often, there's one story in particular, Porcelain Sunrise, and it's pretty gross, but it helped me process a period of my life where things were really, really bad. I was struggling with addiction, I was struggling with alcohol abuse, I was just kind of living a party lifestyle. And in that time, like, I didn't process much. And for many, many years, I kind of cut off that part of myself because that part of myself was kind of dangerous, especially around addiction, right? So you get rid of the addiction, you get rid of the part of you that was addicted. And I had to learn to kind of let that part come back in. And writing Porcelain Sunrise really allowed me to reconnect with it and also find beauty in the fact that even though those times were really difficult and I did a lot of harm to myself and to others, there were some really beautiful moments and a lot of moments where I felt a lot of joy and a lot of just freedom, like ultimate freedom of being in the woods and just looking at the stars and being a human for a little bit, you know?
Yeah, I feel like your experience with that version of you and mine is very different because when I think about my addiction days, I don't like look at her like you're scary, you know, you're not like a negative, like not that it's saying that you look at it negative, but it's not hard for me at all to like reflect back on it and be and laugh about it and be like, I can't believe I survived this. You know, I can't believe the things that I did. Um I do feel like there's a lot of what you said, that word freedom, that somehow uh, you know, addicted to the things that I was addicted to made me feel that. And I think for somebody who thoroughly like gives too much shits about too many things, having a substance that kind of allowed me to put that stuff down is why I felt free. Why I wasn't stressed about this or that or I needed to do this or whatever. Like I was in a moment having fun,
Right,
and what we all deserve to have on our everyday life, right? Like work shouldn't feel constraining or anything like that, and expectations of what societal views shouldn't feel like it's hindering you from being whoever the fuck you want to be. But unfortunately that's not how we get to move through it, you know. So
right.
yeah, that's why some of us do kind of follow a path. I think my like distance right now is the versions of me that spent time living in Florida. Like I think, and
Mm,
that's you know, that's not that long ago. I mean, I've been back to New York almost 5 years now. But like I don't really think, I don't even like I don't even like I can't I literally don't think about that almost 8 years of my life down there at all. So it is very interesting to hear how like that was kind of how you kind of perceived your addiction self. And I did write about, I had like a whole Florida series writing about kind of some of the events that happened to me down there, but in my day-to-day life, I don't ever really, and it's like, did I live it? Did I not live it? Was I there? Was I not there? Like,
yeah,
you know, so it's very, it could be very like mind fucking if you don't mind my language over here. But that's how I feel like it's just like I don't acknowledge it, I don't talk about it, I don't think about it. It's just time that I spent in a space that it happened, but I'm not there anymore. You know.
yeah. Yeah, no, I hear you. And I think like I think some of the reason that I felt some a lot of like I guess fear feelings around that part specifically was just because um it's so easy, I think, to slip back into addiction. You know, it's so easy. And it's that fear of like, if I let that part of me, that little wild part kind of out, like what's gonna happen? And then realizing that, oh no, like I am mature enough and I have developed these skills that like I can be whole and I can acknowledge that those experiences happened to me and and still try to take what I can that was positive out of it and take from it, and especially that being present in the moment. That's what I remember. I felt free because I was so in the moment, right?
Right.
And I think like those can be just really important lessons that we can take from that part and still really build on, because those like those times weren't wasted. We were still learning, we're still learning about ourselves and we're still learning about our bodies, so like that information is still really useful.
Mm, completely agree. Like Miss You said, just want to welcome in Stuart. Thanks for joining. Yeah, I think naming the fear of I don't want to slip back into addiction is also something important and fascinating. Like I'm very well aware now, after I've experienced it and after growing up and people in my family that are more comfortable now sharing what other people in my family also struggled with. And addiction just kind of like runs really deep, whether it's
Mhm.
alcohol, drugs, gambling, uh, cigarettes, like, whatever you shopping, whatever you can be addicted to, there's probably somebody in my family that has been, you know? So when I have that understanding, it was I remember feeling like a little like, so you kind of deprived me of having this knowledge so that I could actually move through life in a more responsible way. Because there are people that could pick up things and do things and never like ever feel the need to like compulsively continue to do it, and then
Right.
there are others that unfortunately struggle with that. So I was like, would it have been nice to know sooner? Maybe. Does it change the fact of anything? No.
No.
Um, but I like to think that it's definitely a part of my path of getting to where I am today. So I can't
Right.
sit and have conversations with fellow addicts if I wasn't one.
Right.
I can't empathize and congratulate and be a part of a community that we recognize the importance of, you know, celebrating victories, even if it's just 1 month or 1 week, or we understand how difficult it is to stay consistent and to not use something that has been the thing that has made everything else kind of feel better, and that sense
Yeah.
of freedom that we talk about. So yeah. Well, fun fact number two that I didn't really know about, Andy. Thanks for throwing
You're
that one
welcome.
in.
I'm gonna give you some curveballs.
Well, I mean, I don't ever try to assume anything about anyone, but I have sat down with people that openly write about their addiction, so I
Yeah.
know that that's part of their past. I did not catch that one that you were talking about, and I don't know if I would read it just because you said it is kind of gruesome. So,
Yeah,
um,
it's a little gross, but it's not gruesome. It's just actually gross. There's some snot mucus. It's fine.
well, just for reference again, what's the name of it called?
Porcelain sunrise.
Porcelain Sunrise. All right. I hope everybody got that. We Wander France said everyone has something. We're not perfect. And I don't even know what perfect is. I don't even like the word. I don't really understand it. Because it
No, I
adds
agree.
that one word adds so much like stress and all this other like negativity around it instead of
Yeah.
whatever it may be have been designed to mean. Um Hold on. Martin, welcome in. Miss Yu says, I'm grateful I don't have an addictive personality, but I do love my weed. I'm back in class next week, so I gotta put the peace pipe down. That's funny. Yeah, I've talked about I went 3 months without smoking weed. Uh and I now have a very different relationship. Like I think you can formulate different relationships with different things. Like I know I have ADHD. I may have not gotten a proper diagnosis, but I know it. And I know that people are on medication for it. And I'm like, I also see what that has done to people in my own family that have been on it. And I'm just like, I don't really want that for me anyway. So if I have something that can add some temporary relief, why does it have to be a negative thing? And that's kind of
Right.
how I viewed it. I just don't need to have it in excess.
Right.
So just understanding those lines and putting myself in the corner sometimes, like, no, you can't have it 3 days in a row. That's not what's necessary. You don't need that, you know?
Yeah, and like in my book, weed is medicine, and when it's used as medicine, when it's not used as medicine, it's not medicine, it's a drug. So I think it has to do with how you choose to use it, how you're mindful of its use. I mean, I'm in Colorado, so you can make your guesses, but
I would say that was one of the reasons why for as long as I can remember growing up in New York, I was like, I gotta get to Colorado. And then obviously, like, I want to get to the West Coast just to try it because their stuff is
yeah,
probably better. But now that it's legal here in New York, it's not as like, oh, I need to go. Because I remember being like growing up, and we can get in trouble for smoking weed. We couldn't smoke it just outside the way people do now here in New York. And my friends were always like, "Oh, we have to go to Amsterdam because like that was the place that everything is legal there." So, but then for me, it was like Colorado was the pretty that has like the nature that I want to be a part of. Maybe not when it's freaking cold, but
well, good news, because of global warming, it hasn't been cold here very often.
I don't know if that's good news at all, honestly.
It's not. It's definitely sarcasm.
I appreciate it. Miss Yu says I smoke way too much as is, so it's good. Then I'm gonna get again. You do you, girl.
You do you.
But just be aware of what you're doing because I do think that there is a point where Mary Jane has definitely hindered my ability to continue to evolve and grow as a human. So, when you have different priorities, you will and understand the use and benefits of it, and you'll be fine. Everything's fine. All right. So no one, no two, no 11.
You pick this one.
We Wonder France said Colorado is alarmingly hot. Yeah.
Yeah, it has been really hot this last couple weeks. We had some AC issues.
Yeah. My head I just want to go like this. Like, oh. let's not, but that's a whole different conversation. I don't want to get sidetracked. All right, I'm gonna go with three. You describe yourself as technical support for the soul, which might be one of my favorite job descriptions I've come across. What part of the human experience are people usually trying to troubleshoot when they find you?
I would say transition is the
Mm,
main one. But it really depends. I find that people find me when they're in really big transitional periods in their life, whether it's going through a period of not having a place to live or not having a job or like trying to figure out what's next and asking the questions of like, how do I make a decision about what's next?
mm.
Um, and I think I also find a lot of people reach out to me when they're in grief or crisis or just in a period where they don't know how to move forward from where they are, and they're finally doing that thing where they're reaching out for help and hoping someone's on the other end of the line to say, hey, I got you.
So you get all of that from creating this space that you've created, um, and writing what you've written in your poetic pause, that people feel comfortable enough to DM you during probably one of their lower moments. How does that feel for you? Like how do you unpack that for yourself?
Well, and I would say too that it's not just been through my Substack, it's been a constant throughout my life
Mm,
where I don't really feel like I chose to become a coach. It's more that it chose me. Even some of my earliest friendships were with people who struggled. And I'm probably at 11, my best friend was threatening to commit suicide and called me. And I stayed up all night on the phone with her and talking her through it. And that was just an 11-year-old girl having no freaking clue about mental health or psychiatry or what to do, just knowing that her friend needed somebody to talk to and being that listening ear. And then just finding myself in situations throughout my life where almost in a synchronicity type of way, something bizarre will happen and I'm there to like help in what ways that I can. Whether it's just a friend in crisis that gives me a call in the middle of the night that I haven't heard from in 10 years, or a family member or whatnot. That yeah.
well, as somebody who also like could just walk down the street and have random people just tell me their life stories,
Yeah.
my whole life, I find it as a beautiful blessing and also sometimes a ridiculous curse. So, how do you stay balanced, or maybe decompartmentalize what somebody's going through so you're not carrying that weight on top of what you may be going through?
I think the biggest thing is staying present with myself so that I'm making sure that my own needs are met so that whenever the times come up where I'm needed to show up, I can be present. Um, Fully, because I know for myself that if I'm not taking care of myself, that if a situation arises where like somebody needs my help and I'm not in a good place, I can't help in that case, And then I'm like, hey, sorry, I'm gonna have to escalate this to someone else, So
No, but I mean,
call your
have you
therapist.
so like I've had to learn the hard way on how to like not abandon myself to help somebody else.
Yeah.
Have you also felt like you've had to learn a harder way, or have you been able to understand the only way that I can help you is if I help me first? And that's not a selfish thing. I'm saying that's a necessary thing.
Oh no, that's definitely something I learned over a lot of trial and error and a lot of self abandonment and not just I grew up very much a people pleaser in putting others first, caring for other people first, and at some point I just hit a period of complete burnout where I just literally could not move forward anymore, and you kind of have to make a decision where it's like it's either going to make it or break it. Am I going to take care of myself, or I'm just going to let myself fall into the abyss and keep going this other way, that's potentially towards not good things.
Yeah. Real quick, we just wanted to welcome in Karen. So I like jokingly say probably once every three inner room episodes that like I find them very mirroring. Like there are reasons why I have sat with the people that I've sat with. And, as we continue to have this conversation, I'm like, yeah, same girl, same. Hey, how you doing? Yeah, life can really fuck you up when you're always worried about what somebody else needs and you forget to actually worry about what the fuck you need. And I've gotten to points in relationships and friendships and any dynamic of anything of other human encounters where I genuinely didn't I could say like I don't know who I am. Like I didn't know. And I think that was most recent for me, losing my 16-year career and then the partner that I had at the time. And it was just like when I sat back, it's like, I don't know what I am without my job that I've had my whole life. Like so yeah, I feel like every bit of this conversation, which kind of I want to kind of segue in a little bit to some of your writing. I think the most recent one that you've shared with us is called The Sacred Mother. Um, The Sacred Mother plays with this prescribed path of maiden, mother, crane. How much of your own life has evolved questioning the sequence you were told it was supposed to follow?
Oh, a whole lot.
Same, same.
Yeah. My dream when I was young was to be a stay-at-home mom. I wanted to raise kids and have a big family, and then that didn't happen.
Mm,
And I even found the right man and got married, and we've been married 15 mostly beautiful years, and it still didn't happen. And we did the IVF thing, and it still didn't happen. And so here I am, 38, with failed ovaries. And my only chances at this point for the motherhood that I so wanted are out of my price range.
mm,
So they're simply not affordable. And so for me, it's really been the last 2 years. I did the 4 rounds of IVF while caring for my dad through his cancer journey and through chemo, and ultimately his passing. And I did 2 rounds of IVF while I took care of him, and then 1 round of IVF after he passed before his memorial service. And it was an extremely impactful period in my life because you just don't realize all the things you never thought about. And whenever you're young, you're just like, oh, I'm gonna have kids. I think people, they just have them and they don't think about them. But whenever you're like really having to try, there's just so many things you think of where you get to the end and you're like, well, do I even want to do that anymore with the world the way it is right now? Is there another way that I can be a service to humanity other than just raising a child, like, or raising a family, like? And to me, that's where the crone comes in, because the crone to me feels like wisdom. It feels like being a mother to humanity, being able to, for those that don't have mothers, that don't have people that can treat them with the love of that maybe I can be that for them in some way, or that I can give them advice or support, and in that way be a mother of humanity.
I mean, I think that's beautiful. I think what I'm sorry because I can only imagine how difficult it is to one care for a loved one, and I lost my both of my grandparents that are no longer here. I lost to cancer, but my grandfather, I was very present in watching how that disease just slowly deteriorated him as a human being. So I know it can be very difficult, and I can't imagine like I don't know what exactly happens during IVF, but I would assume it's also affecting hormones and stuff. So your emotions and stuff. So I can only imagine like how difficult that was. So one, just thank you for sharing that. And I'm genuinely sorry that you had to experience that, those dynamics together. But I think, when I try to look for like positivity in situations, right? coming to the realization that maybe there was another path for you to still serve the same type of purpose, and then realizing in 2026 is probably not great times to be raising any age children, no matter how long ago or recently you might have maybe had one, like from 1 to like 16, 18, I'm sure is pretty difficult at this time in life. I'm not saying that they don't aren't difficult after 18, but I'm just
Yeah,
saying,
but just the economic instability that we're looking at
right.
right now is terrifying. And it's like, will I be able to provide for a child in 10 years or 15 years? I don't know. I don't know if I'll be able to provide for myself. So it's a lot, like it's a lot to think about. And so it's just like, you know what? I'm just going to be present for now.
Yeah.
And if if something comes up in the future, I'm like, okay, right now feels like the right time to do an adoption or do an egg donation or something like that. I can allow that to be a path that opens up for me. But I think really it's about dropping the story of what we want our futures to be and living right now and what our current present actually is. Because right now is probably the good times that we're going to look back fondly on.
I mean, as a fellow millennial, I really hope that things get better at some point.
I do
But
too. But
um, yeah, I mean, I can appreciate the sentiment.
but even
Yeah,
so, we age and we have illness and we have things. We're never going to be healthier and more fit than we are
that you
right
got
now.
right now.
You
Yeah.
know.
Yes, 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 yes. I do. So I have a question, kind of like a little follow up question. You said since you were a kid, this was what you wanted for yourself. Do you feel like it was your dream, or was it some dream passed down onto you that you've just been carrying your whole life?
I think for me, it was my dream. My very first memories were caring for my baby dolls. I had these baby dolls, and I took them everywhere, and I fed them, and I would put them under my shirt like I was breastfeeding them, like the whole 9 yards. Like they were my babies. I was raising them. And whenever I was 11, my nephew was born, and I was like, this is my baby. And then I just like, anytime he was around, like, he was my baby. And I did the same thing with both of my nephews, and so many nieces and nephews that I got to spend beautiful years with when they were young.
Mhm.
Step nieces and nephews, and now I've had the joy. My cousin just had a couple girls, a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old, and they are just magnificent and lovely. So I've just had a lot of children to raise in my life and know that it's my dream. Like I've always just like just the idea of like being able to teach a child and watch through their eyes, and also just be able to treat a child in the way that I wanted to be treated when I was a kid. And like I had, like, I guess, these dreams of like healing that generational trauma through caring for my own children. I'm like, oh, damn, now I got to do the work on my own. Um, but
I mean that's yeah, that's true. That's beautiful. And
yeah,
I only ask because I don't think that I don't think that I ever wanted a kid. And it's not that I have anything against children. I actually am fascinated by them now. As I gotten older, I was like, oh, did I maybe make a impromptu decision about what I wanted for myself? And then I'm like, I don't know. I like dogs, like, but I never wanted. I know that I never wanted to physically birth a child. If I was going to have a child, it would be through adoption. And then I was like, well, you know what? I don't even have to adopt a child. I mean, I could just foster a child. I mean,
yeah,
I could just, or I said if I adopted, it would have been like the kid that's about to age out that never had their own room. Like, I
yeah,
feel like I would be really cool with, like, that age, and they would probably hate me and not wanna listen to any of my rules, but, like, I would still want to give them something, like, all their first, that they deserved even
yeah,
prior to many years, you know? So I've always had, like, all these different ideas of what it could look like. I don't really think about it as much now, being that I don't think that I can have, and, like you said, it's not really a time in my life that I
yeah.
think.
And like I like fostering, I think is a really noble idea, and I've considered it and I've looked into it, but also the amount of trauma that those children go through, you really have to be prepared to work with kids that have some serious trauma and are going through some really hard stuff. and it's more, I think, to take that on than to just take on a newborn that you're giving birth to at the hospital. Um, because a newborn, you kind of raise it. Yeah, it might have some
If
trauma,
if it's
but
got some issues,
you
it's
have
your
more
fucking
control.
fault.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
your fault. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know. I think that would be a cool, a completely difficult and probably very
Yeah.
difficult time in my life, but I think it also would be super rewarding and
Yeah.
have because anything that's really hard usually also has a really great upside. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, it's definitely something I've considered as I get older, as like, doing like just fostering younger children and just like being that mom in their life for a little bit. And like just being there for when they need it. But it's a lot to take on. Another season of life.
Yeah. I mean, again, I could remember all the like versions of me to the
Yeah.
best of my abilities, and I can remember like I definitely wasn't somebody that could be easily communicated to. And
Yeah.
I struggled with a lot of reactivity, and I honestly didn't identify that until my dog before Onyx, Kingsley, until he passed away at 11, where I realized that dog was reactive and he was a pity, so
Mm,
he couldn't he attacked my sister's golden retriever like twice. He attacked other dogs. I couldn't walk him on the street. Like he was reactive. And it wasn't until I said goodbye to him that I realized you were just mirroring me the whole time. And then that's when I started like having the most ridiculous mom guilt of a dog, right? Like
yeah.
so I could only imagine this is why God knew, or whatever I believed it at some point knew. Nah, this bitch don't need a kid.
No, I just get too much.
She don't need a kid. But I really respect that. I really hope your future has some surprises for you. Definitely. With that being said, you also wrote the cat poem, so it could be read three different ways.
Yeah.
All three versions still work. Do you think people work that way too? That seemingly contradictory versions of us can all be true at once?
Absolutely. I do. Um, I mean, that's so true in me. Like I often joke that there's two people inside of me that, we're just having conversation all day because I'm like, nope, we're not doing it that way. We got, and I got to get a little forceful with myself sometimes because there's one part, there's one of me that just wants to sit around and play video games all day and relax and hang out with the cats. And there's another part of me that just wants to go, go, go and cross 15 tasks off my list. And those are always kind of at odds. And there's a lot of different parts of me that are on odds in that way. And I think that that's kind of true of all people.
I think ADHD kind of plays a role in that.
That too. Yeah, I do have ADHD.
Well, yeah. So again, very fascinated. My nephew has it. My sister's been diagnosed with it. I'm like, I probably haven't. My parents, one of them, I think, might, or if not both. But again, it just looks different in all of us because we're different
Yeah.
people, and I do so much research on it, and it's just like because it's fascinating to me, like to understand how something that has like this people just think, oh, they just can't focus, they're just hyper, and it's like that's not really what it is, and it genuinely affects so many aspects of humans' lives that it's not really that simple. But when I'm creating, um, or walking a dog, or writing something, like when I'm creating, when I'm doing something I can do a lot of it very quickly.
Yeah.
So I remember obviously working for PetSmart first, so for most of my life, and it's just like there were certain tasks that I can do faster than any human in that building, and then there were other tasks that I was like, "Pfft," and they were like, what's wrong with you?" And I'm like, I'm not really interested in that one. I don't really want to.
Yeah.
That one's not fun. I could do like this all day. So I think that also attributes to the motivation piece of it. There's just so much to it. But yeah, there's a lot of contradictions in my own body a lot of the times too. So I really appreciated that poem and the way that you designed it. And I was like, my kind of mind blown, like one, the brain that it takes to do that. Like I was just like, you could read it three different ways and it still all makes sense. How long did that take you to write?
About 3.5 hours.
And that's not even that long, in my opinion, for the
No.
for the way that it is, the way that it is done. Oh man, jeez,
Guys, I
Louise.
actually, it's the first time I've ever written a contrapuntal, which is the type of poem. I wrote the first half of it in a workshop that was teaching us how to write that type of poem, and then I finished it in the like 2 hours after the workshop finished.
Can you say it again? Because I could not pronounce it to save the life of me, so I said I'm not going to say that.
Uh, Contrapuntal.
Contrapuntal.
That's actually it's a I can't remember the year, but it's one of the oldest forms of poetry because it's how music was created. It's a music term where you have the melodies weaving together, and that's where the contrapuntal comes in because really you want to have two opposing views that kind of come together into a coherence, just like the canon music, and so it's a very musical form of poetry.
I can totally see that, and like I said, I'm hats off to you because I don't think I've ever seen something like that before. Again, like I'm not very versed into poetry. Poetry definitely makes me think, but like reading that one, it was very like holy shit. How I was more like again amazed by your brain and the ability to do that. So yeah, great job with that piece, honestly, genuinely. I was like, oh, Andy's got so many tricks up their sleeve, tricks up their sleeve. I was like, what the fuck? Very impressed. Just fangirling over here, guys, if
Yeah.
you didn't know. But the chat has been a little bit quiet. Jody, Heather, Wendy, thank you for joining us tonight. It's Martin and Miss Hughes were talking about the weather in Michigan. One believes the summer has been mild. The other one believes it's been pretty nice the last few days.
Mhm.
I'm over here in New York and I'm just like, the other day I woke up and I was cold. And it's like August. And I'm like, that's weird. Like it was like not, it was like 64 degrees. And I was like, it's cold. It's chilly. It's a chilly
Yeah.
morning. It's too soon. That's like
Too soon.
October. That's
Better
October.
weather.
Yeah, I was like, oh, should I wear my hoodie and sweatpants? What am I dressing as? It was so interesting for me. Um, but I was like, we're already running out of time. It's like I have all
Oh
these
no.
questions. I have all these questions. All right.
We'll have to do it
Between
round two.
hopefully yes, please. So between 17 and 20, there's just four numbers. Can you pick one for me?
19.
19. This one's fun. What do you think most people are afraid to admit they enjoy? And anybody
Um,
in the chat can answer this too, because again, it's just very an interesting kind of hmm.
um, I think my favorite one here is very, very relevant for Substack. Smut.
Well, and you know what? Why would I? To me, it's like, why wouldn't you admit that if you like that?
Yeah.
And
Um,
there is a whole community of smut writers and
yep.
smut readers on this platform, and I'm like, whatever my tribe. I'm like, that is not new. It's not a new thing. People have been
Mhm.
before there was TV. What do you think people did? Use your imaginations. Wrote. Come on now. This is nothing new. There's no reason to be ashamed of that. But again, that's just one of the societal situations, right?
Yeah.
People, places, and things always making us feel like we can't be one with our bodies and are just provide it to whatever it may need. You know. I don't
Yeah.
know.
I always find it fun whenever a writer pops up on Substack that doesn't usually do smut and they just throw one in there and I'm like, oh, fun.
You know what?
Sign me up, Fred. That was fun.
Maybe that's a sign that I should just try it once.
Just
I could
try it
probably
once.
try that once more than the whatever type of poem you wrote because that would hurt my brain to do. But I'm like, I could probably do that just one time. Um, that's
Yeah, but we
interesting.
know there's lots of undercover Bridgerton fans out there, so
Again, to me, it's fascinating because I'm like, I don't want anybody in this world to be ashamed of anything that they're like. Like to carry shame for something you enjoy just doesn't make sense to me. And I kind of hate that we don't live in a world that just appreciates people's uniqueness and what they do like. Because I don't know, I'm like every space that you can enter, whether you're an athlete and you're in gyms and you're playing pickleball, you're gonna find people that like what you like, or
yep,
you're a gamer and you're constantly online or whatever. You're gonna find those people that like what you like. Whether you're a writer, you're gonna find the community. You're gonna find people that like what you like. The more people that say, hey, I like this, I'm pretty sure the more people will come out and say, yeah, me too. you know So I definitely hope for a world where people are allowed to just enjoy what the fuck they enjoy without jjudgment, because it's fucking stupid. Heather
Yep,
says
and that's
amen.
good
Hey,
for the
amen. Amen.
amen.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah. All right. You describe yourself as a dreamer. Has dreaming always come easily to you, or did you have to relearn how to imagine a life beyond the one you already had?
I think I've really had to work for it. I've really, I like, I think I've always been, this is interesting because I kind of see this question in two veins, right? The dreamer is in the daydreamer and the one that like writes stories and finds love and peace and fiction. And then I see the other dreamer that like had this vision for how life was going to be and had to face the realities of like, hey, life is going to give you what it's going to give you and you're going to take it because that's the only option. And
But
you know,
but to the other point of that, the other little, I'm gonna
mm,
add my little positivity twist to that is usually what life hands you is always what you need,
absolutely,
even if you
absolutely.
don't understand it in the moment,
Yeah.
right?
And I think that's what like going on my vision quest, like a big part of that was like letting go of the IVF journey,
Mm,
letting go a lot of the dreams. Because one of the ceremonies I did was burning images of the embryos that I had made with my husband, and like it was part of that was like letting go of those dreams and like allowing space for new dreams to come to fruition.
mm.
And that's really when I was like, my new dream, like it's if I wanted to do anything else, and it can't be having a family with kids, what would it be? And it would be writing, and it would be helping people. And the more I can help people through my writing or through my somatic practices, like that's what my dream kind of has become. And to open up space to just bring in that daydreamer, and allow myself to let there was this stigma of daydreaming where it was like it was so bad to daydream all day. That was the worst thing you could do was daydream your life away. Well, what if I want to daydream my life away? What if that's so enjoyable to me and it's not like as long as it's not impacting other parts of your life, right? Because there are I recognize there are like parts of daydreaming where you can take it too far, right? Where it can impact your life. But I also don't think there should be shame in enjoying it and letting it be a guilty pleasure. And um, just I get to now I get to explore all these possible versions of myself that could have happened that didn't, but I can explore them through fiction. I can explore being a mother through writing a story about a mother. One of my favorite characters, Sydney. One of my character building techniques that I use is I get to know my character's parents. I usually try to understand what their birth experience was like. I like to understand what they were like when they were children. And in a way, it almost feels like raising children. They're just fictional.
Mm. So there was so much that you said there that I was like, let me see if I can pull on a thread. First off, I think daydreaming is how you manifest. That's just one. Second, I never want to belittle anybody's dream of being a mom. But what I will say is we have a lot of them. What we don't have is humans that are willing to show up for other humans regardless of their relationship. And maybe that is the path that you were destined for that is much bigger than just one child or two children.
Yeah,
And I'm not going to belittle the fact that that's what you've always wanted. That's
yeah,
that's not what I'm trying to do, but I'm hopefully trying to add a perspective that makes you understand that we need people like you in this world to do maybe a much bigger role than you even thought you were supposed to.
yeah. And I do like I recognize that, and I feel like that's at this point in my life. It feels like if I pursue just opening myself to the possibilities, right, of allowing this to happen,
Mm,
then the things that are supposed to happen are going to come to me. Maybe I am a mom to a child. Maybe I'm a mom to hundreds of children.
Or
maybe I'm,
one big,
you never
huge
know.
fucking
And
community.
so I personally love that perspective. I don't take it as belittling at all. I think I understand how someone may take it that way, potentially depending on where they're at in their journey.
Right.
But I really feel like where I'm at in my journey, like it's all fake and the points are made up. Like it's, we all just gotta live in the moment. And
That was an impromptu dismissal. Let me see if I can get Andy back before we 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 wrap up for the day. Um oh, don't worry, I got you. I was like impromptu. Substack was like, she's done. He's done. They're done. Everybody's done.
off the screen.
But I was like, oh, we got you back real quick. But yeah, I appreciate that it was received in the ways that it was attended, and I look forward to watching the way that you maybe become mother symbol to so many people that you probably don't even can't even really understand it yet, because I think a lot of things happen for reasons, and sometimes it sucks, like genuinely sucks. Like I thought my whole life was figured out, and then I lost my job and I was like, nope, not
Not
done.
done.
Still got more adulting to do, still got more healing to do, still got more self-awareness to grow and learn, and emotional intelligence to understand, and just yeah, it life could be very fun fucking party, man.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, we've got to make what we can out of it. And honestly, I was talking to my last therapist appointment, and she, brought up like you have to choose happiness. It's happiness is a choice. Our brains are predisposed to the negative. We're predisposed to that because that's what's kept us safe for millennia. That's what's kept us alive as humans. So, in order to be happy, we have to choose happy.
I mean, I get that. But sometimes I like to think differently than others. And I'm not saying that happiness isn't a choice, cuz yeah, it is. But I also think it's a feeling, and feelings don't last
Yeah,
forever. So
I
like
do
I'm
agree
like
with that too.
yeah, like I'm like, yeah, I'll be happy some days, and I have to also be okay with that there are going to be days that I'm not. And
Yep,
yeah, I can force choose it, but it's not going to feel the way happy would feel, light and free,
right.
if it just naturally came. And it's okay to feel sad or mad or frustrated or aggravated, or I don't know, all the other feelings that exist in this world. Yeah, I mean, I'm like, yeah,
Yeah, and
I
definitely,
choose every day to wake up.
yeah,
That's my choice for the day. Okay.
yeah, and I don't say it as like I guess a prescription or as saying like we need to override because I definitely don't want to, I don't want to make this about like spiritually bypassing the experience, right? Because we need to feel all our emotions and that's really important. But also I think that like we have to make more of a decision to like allow ourselves to be in the moment enough to be happy, right?
Mm.
Because you can't experience happiness if you're not like
Open to
receptive,
it.
I guess,
Yep.
open to it. So I think that's a lot of times we take these phrases, right, and they sound really good as newspaper clips, right? Choose happiness sounds really great, right? But there's so much nuance underneath that we could talk hours about the nuance. I mean, just the word freedom, like we talked about earlier, that word has so much nuance to it, and I've spent literal hours in meditation just thinking about what the word freedom means to me
Mm.
and how it lands in my system. And I think a lot of these things, you know, any snippets you see on social media, you say there's just so much underlying nuance where you can take it so deeply to really get to the bottom of what it means for you.
I mean, to that point, I think humans are very nuanced. Like, I don't think we're easy to understand in our own ways. Oh, well, I think that's also a prompt. Like, what does freedom mean to you? And let people
Yeah,
fucking sit with that for a minute. I love
yeah,
to see us both write our own takes on that. Maybe we should do that at some point.
I'm down for that.
Um, yeah, because I mean, like that. Because, like you said, I could probably sit in silence for a while and think, and then like rethink, and then like think myself out of something that I thought, and then like, no, wait, this is what and like eventually land on what maybe I would think that word meant. So yeah, thank you for that. Um, so before we wrapped up, I'm gonna shoot you with one last Beautiful comment. And I could probably stay talking to you for a lot longer, but my phone apparently wants to die on me. So we're gonna hope that that doesn't happen. But if I gave you permission to be completely inappropriate for the next 60 seconds, what conversation do you wish people were less afraid to have?
Mm, I really just feel like in honest conversations, it feels like so difficult to get people to just actually be open and honest in a conversation. Like I feel like so many of our conversations are performative, and so it's like it's always refreshing to have those honest conversations. But I do think that unfortunately in this world, it's been really rare for a while. So hopefully we see more and more.
That makes me sad. I mean, I agree with you.
Yeah,
We're definitely in a performative base culture where people are afraid to be who they are, and there's been so many judgments and societal views on things that deter people from, being free to be who they
yeah,
are. Um, but I hope this space has felt less performative and a little bit more honest with you. Um,
absolutely.
and I hope future inner room episodes as well as past ones feel that way for people. I definitely don't like performance. And I think I
Yeah,
actually can use the word hate just because I identified how long I actually did it. And when I feel like when I did that, I was like, I remember literally crying. Um because I felt bad. Like I felt bad that there were so many different versions of me that felt like that was the only way to exist in this world. And
yeah,
we talk a lot about, hey, when you get to, because a lot of people say, hey, when you get to 40s, when you're in your 40s as a female, you don't give a fuck. I'm like, fuck that. I already don't give a fuck because I gave too much fucks for too long, you know? So yeah. Anybody in this space or anybody that watches this replay or anybody that hears this at all, echoes it at all, just know that there are places and spaces and people that appreciate you for exactly who the fuck you are.
100%. Yeah, I mean, it just always brings joy to me to see people on Substack posting their videos and just being raw and real. And it's been really refreshing to get to know a community in this way and not have to feel like I have to perform here.
Mm.
So I've been very thankful for that. And yeah, I just wish people didn't feel so much fear or shame around just being themselves because they're all beautiful and amazing, and they deserve to feel love and be themselves.
Yeah, amen. And I know this might all sound like cheesy shit, but I mean, in reality, there's going to be somebody one day that may stumble across this interview and get all the way to the end to this point where we're saying this and they start crying for just a moment of understanding, you know what, yeah, I really don't want to keep being this way. I really do want to find people that just accept me for who I am or start the journey of identifying who the fuck they are like I did. Because, it's
Yeah,
really easy to just camouflage and be a part of whatever you're surrounded by. It's a lot harder to sit with yourself and figure out what do I like? What don't I like? What
yeah,
what versions of me have fun and play and is are like childish, which is necessary, you know?
yeah,
So I think sometimes that's the hardest part is sitting with yourself long enough to allow yourself to be whoever you are.
absolutely. I have to agree with that for sure. And just yeah, people people now I think they're always on camera. We're like there's always that risk of being on camera. So I think there's two camps of some people that are taking that and they're just like, oh, I got to be turned on performing 100% of the day. And there's this other camp of us that all burned out. And we're like, we're done. Catch us on camera doing whatever you want to catch us on camera doing. We're done.
Well, I mean, I think the point of my life, and I can't even really remember what exact age I was, but when I realized I don't like everybody,
Yeah,
like I don't like everybody. So like it's okay that not everybody likes me. Like when I gave that permission to myself, it made things a lot easier. And then I started like looking at people that I think are successful in the ways that I want to be successful. Not maybe not maybe successful in the ways of like a plethora of money and houses and mansions and unnecessary foolish shit, but like successful in ways that I would want to be successful. And I'm just like they not every like I can go to their social medias and not everybody likes them in their comments and I don't see them arguing with people defending them. Like they're just moving through life. So yeah, it's been a fun journey to get here, my friend.
Indeed.
But would you I'm sure we can all say, well, I wish there was some better parts of it, but do you think you really would change any part of it?
Absolutely not. I mean, there's just, I mean, there are some things that like shouldn't have happened to any person, right? And those things I'd probably take away, right? Traumatic events, things like that. But in general, like any of the things that I chose to do, no, I wouldn't take it away. I made those choices and I learned from them.
Isn't it kind of sick to think about though when you realize unfortunately so many people unnecessarily need to have traumatic events to get to right because I think if I try to think about it like if my life was just peachy and perfect and I just had like everything handed to me, what kind of character would I be? How empathetic would I actually be? Would I still be this empathetic that I am? What way could I um communicate with everybody? Would I still be able to
Yeah,
So, I'm not saying that I want Don, I'm not saying that I want the trauma, but I am saying
right.
it is a twisted way to kind of sometimes in my head think about it, like, it is so necessary to still be a good human is unfortunately to have it.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I feel like if you took away all my trauma, that like I would probably not be very pleasant to be around because my ego would be winning. And my ego was pretty strong whenever I was young.
And this is also why I say to somebody that if you have never left the town that you have been born and raised in, if you've never really experienced living anywhere else and you've just kind of lived in a bubble, please go somewhere, anywhere. Like, even if it's, like, for a minimum, like, a month, if not longer. Like, please immerse yourself in someplace else.
Yeah. I moved a
Because I
thousand miles away.
right? But it quickly fucking humbles you on,
Yeah.
life isn't what it was catered to be in my little bubble that I was so comfortable in. I think it really does stretch a human a little bit.
Yeah, it does. I have to agree with that. I think one of the best decisions I made was leaving Texas and coming to Colorado. I've
Is that
it's
really 1,000 miles away?
yeah, about 1,000 miles.
Gee.
Yeah, I was down in Austin, like Central Texas
That's
area.
like you went south
Yeah,
to us.
I went central to north. I'm like way up north in Colorado. So
Yeah.
um yeah, so I went a really far away, but I best decision I ever made. I love it here, and you should definitely come visit sometime. I actually already have one hike I'm planning with a Substacker. So if you ever come up here, I'll take you on a hike. I'll find one that's good for your skill level and we'll make it happen.
I was like, anywhere I go on Accessigo, so like that's my thing. But yes, hey Fiona, thanks for joining us. But yeah, I would love to. I was just literally joking with two other people on this platform because one of them wanted to do like a winter getaway, and I was like, please say Colorado, and then the other one was like, no, not Colorado, and I'm like, no, we have to do Colorado. It's on my bucket list. God damn it! But yes, if I ever make it there, I want to be that person that one day like meets every single person that I interviewed in real life,
That
one
would
way
be
or the
so
other.
fun.
Yeah, every time I host, okay, so I call my subscriber chat the Den. So every time I host a prompt in the Den, which allows people to just kind of join. So like the last one I did was like a slumber party, a virtual slumber party for my birthday, and I just said bring a game. So like don't bring me a gift, like just bring a game. So like everybody kind of like dropped down games that they would bring, whatever. And I put it together. I'm just like I feel like I'm hosting something that's going to manifest one day into this me getting a big Airbnb and having all of these people here and this being what we're doing. Like that's why I love hosting them on Substack because
Yeah,
it's just like I'm
that
gonna
sounds so
manifest.
fun.
Yeah, I'm gonna manifest. Imagine like one day I'm gonna have the means to be able to just get everybody from everywhere on Substack into one location and spend a weekend together doing one
We need to
blissfully
do
thing.
like Imgur did. We need to do a Substack summer camp. do like a week and find a location and just like plan it. We need to figure out money, but it's
As I
we
said,
can dream about it. We can manifest it. Okay.
right. I said if I dream, I can manifest it. I'm daydreaming
Yeah.
all day about
Yeah.
it. But I mean, it's plausible because it's not like one person has to come up with the money. It's like
Yeah.
I'm getting 20 to 30 to 50 people in a space for a week. I'm sure together collectively we can figure out
We
how
can
to
do
fucking
it.
pay for this. So if anybody's interested, just DM either one of us so we can kind of figure out how to do this. Or the great Substack should actually post something like in not in all state in every area, all countries, all places, because there's people all over the world on this app. So um before we leave, Fiona said, wouldn't that be awesome? Yeah. We would get no writing done if we had writing tests. I think that would be the point, is like to take a break from the writing and actually get to socialize amongst the people.
Yeah.
And then when we all leave each other, we have plenty of things to write about.
Yeah. We'll all have stories to write.
Yeah, we'll all have points of views about something, I'm sure. um, but Andy, I've really thoroughly have enjoyed our conversation, and I can't thank you enough for agreeing to sit in the hot seat for my 20 questions, even though you didn't have to answer all of them.
No worries. We'll get to it. I'm a talker, so I can stretch those questions out.
I mean,
I
honestly,
think we got good.
I do 20 just in case
Yeah.
of situations, but I don't ever expect to get to them. It's okay, Fiona. I'll eventually get this live replay up probably tomorrow, since it's a later time here today. And anybody can feel free to revisit the madness that existed between me and Andy. um, but with that being said, I thoroughly thank you so much for joining me today, and I will definitely be in touch for a future catch up, Gab Fest. And anything else? You got anything else? Does the chat have anything else? Are we good? Everybody's
I'm
happy,
good.
healthy. And
Yeah, Nick is happy and sleeping.
I will say, I see the kitty over there. Thank you, Fiona. You too. Well, with that being said, you've been in the inner room where the conversations go deep, the connections surprise, and the truths linger long after the world quiets down. Until next time, keep listening inward, because that's where the stories that shape us really live. Again, appreciate you. I hope all of you beautiful people have a great day, evening, night, whatever it is over there. And I will be, next week. I'll be back next week. Bye.